I can't get this quite. Hey, everybody. Let's just yak for a minute, Steph, and let people who might be getting notifications that we're on, let them catch up with us. So I'm Beth, and this is...
I'm Stephanie.
And we are the Ghouls from
The
Ghouls.
Ghouls.
The duel of the Ghouls.
The dual Ghouls.
And happy Friday the 13th to everybody. I didn't even realize when we made the show until I was like later, like, wait a minute, it's Friday the 13th. Of course, I had made the show wrong. I had made it on the 14th, and Deb pointed that out to me. By the way, our intro, whatever you call it, says that Deb was going to be with us, and prayers to her because her little dog, Nina, her and RJ's dog, is not doing well. So she probably won't be popping in tonight. She's trying to deal with the kids while RJ sits with the dog.
Yeah.
I just realized that I need more eye surgery.
Having trouble?
My eyes going to the side, and I guess maybe I have to go get that taken care of. Cheers. So, Steph, what have you been up to?
Not much. Working mostly. We did a few investigations. The opera house and doing, some little things here and there, and working and cross stitching. And Madison started kickboxing. So,
well, didn't your country market start again?
Yeah, the farmers market on Sundays. Yeah.
And you'll be okay for tomorrow night? I mean, tomorrow?
Yeah.
For the march. We're doing the Women's March in Traverse City. Yep. Come join us, peoples. Hey, do I have the chat on? Do I have to turn it on? Do you know?
I have no idea.
I don't know either.
I don't think that, chats work on here.
It says comments, live viewer comments show up on StreamYard. This is an example. Click on a comment. I don't see any examples. Okay, whatever. And they could be commenting on Facebook, which is something I have not yet figured out how to read all the different, why we're trying to do the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of. This is new to us. StreamYard is, I think it's only the third show I've done on my own, maybe second. So, yeah, so we're going to talk tonight. Oh, yeah. Anyway, 1 to 3. I'll go back to what I was talking about. 1 to 3 is the Women's March tomorrow in Traverse City. Where do we meet, Steph?
The open space downtown.
Yeah, like Park something, Parkway.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we're going to go do some fun things, investigating, but not going to tell anybody where it's at because we don't want to be fooled. But that'll be fun. It'll be the old gang will be back together, or some of us.
Yeah.
Will. Yeah. So I'm in my RV just in case anybody sees all this. And I think that's where I'm going to keep my studio for the radio, which is more convenient, quieter. Got my son living with me now. And
yeah, I think the RV will be easier for you.
What's that?
So I think the RV will be easier for you.
I do too. Okay, so we're going to talk about Nelly Butler. You want to take it away, Steph, and tell what you know about Nelly Butler's haunting?
Yeah, so it is considered by most people to be the first recorded ghost story in America. And it started in 1799 in Maine. And so Nelly Butler was a young woman who was married to George Butler, and she gave birth and had a really horrible childbirth, and the baby ended up dying, and then she died the following day. And so they were buried, and then later. I don't know how much later. I don't think it was very, very much later. Let me pull up his name so I make sure I get it right. Abner Blaisdell. So she showed up for the first time in Abner Blaisdell's cellar. And he was just one of the local people. Obviously back then houses were more spread out, but towns were smaller, so you still knew everybody. And she showed up as this kind of bright white light and said that her name was Nelly Butler. And she ended up being seen on 30 separate occasions by over 100 people. And it was in the Blaisdell cellar. It was in a couple other people's houses out in the middle of a field, and it would be at night, during the day.
Didn't it start with knocking for like a month?
Yep. Yeah, so it started, he heard knocking.
For like a month, right?
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine knocking for a month? So this is my question. Is that when Jehovah's Witness religion started?
They started?
Or maybe the Mormons?
Yeah.
Relentlessly knocking for a month.
Yep. I think that would drive me crazy.
Have a lot of religious aspects to it, did it not, Stephanie?
It did. It was said that most of the things that she said were religion based. So it was, kind of her preaching almost to her audience that would show up in the cellar to see her. And it was reported that she said she would only be seen by people who wanted to see her. So even if you were in that cellar, if you had even an inkling of doubt or unwillingness to see her, even secret, you didn't even have to say it out loud. It was said, there was a woman who stated that she was down in the basement, and secretly she wasn't sure if she wanted to see Nelly, and she didn't, but other people in the group did. And she would show up differently for different people. So for some people, she'd be a full form. For some people, she would just be a little ball of light. It would just differ for everyone involved.
So I find that interesting because I think that a lot of times when we have guests on our investigation, we're with MAPIT, Michigan Area Paranormal Investigative Team out of Traverse City, in case you don't know us. And when we have people show up on investigations that are skeptic or they're scared, don't you feel like we get less or they get less experiences because of their fear or whatever? What do you think?
I think it's kind of everyone says I'll believe it when I see it, but I think also you'll see it when you believe it. And if you're not open to experiencing things, then even if something happens and you acknowledge it, you're just going to explain it away anyways.
Right.
So it's kind of a little bit of you have to have faith that something's going to happen.
And that happened a lot in this story, from my understanding, is there was a lot of skeptics.
Yep.
But most of them, from my understanding, tell me if I'm wrong, turned to being believers.
Yeah, it was, the reasoning they came up with for why it was a fraud wasn't solid reasoning. It could easily be counter-explained. So, they said that her coming as a glowing figure was because of some kind of projector. They called it a magic candle. Well, that doesn't work when it's the middle of the day in a field. And it doesn't work when she's walking in between people in the basement. Anything that was a projector, people wouldn't have been able to feel her. They said they could feel her walking in between them. They also said that it was ventriloquism, the voices.
From Lydia, I guess, the
Yes.
15-year-old.
Yep. But again, it was explained away as some people they could hear it. It sounded like it was right next to their ear. And some people, what she was saying was super clear, and other people in the room at the same exact time, it would just sound like mumbling. So it was different experiences for everyone in the room, and vastly different experiences. So the person standing right next to you can hear her clearly, but you can't. Or the person standing right next to you can see her as a full glowing figure, and you just see her as a little glowing ball of light. So that was a part of the, their reasoning of why it couldn't be explained away, because there were so many variations and things that couldn't just necessarily be explained by these simple things.
And then I guess we need to talk about what was her message. Why was she coming?
Yeah, so it came out eventually that, she did do a lot of preaching, a lot of scripture,
Singing hallelujah.
Yep, singing hallelujah for hours on end. Must have been great fun. But ultimately her goal was to have her widower, George Butler, remarry. And the woman she wanted him to remarry was 15-year-old Lydia Blaisdell, which was the daughter of Abner, and that's where she showed up. And even back then, 15 was still considered a little bit young. It was still kind of risque. We think of
for a 27-year-old man. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people think about back then as 15-year-olds got married all the time, and it just wasn't the case. 20 years old was average, but even back then, 15 was a bit young.
I guess for the Maine area, especially.
Right.
Maine.
And so people were kind of...
they ended up burning the witches, by the way, in that area.
Yeah.
Years after this.
Yep.
Hey, hi, Debbie. Go ahead. I'm sorry. If I interrupt you, I'm saying hi to people.
Oh, no, that's okay. I was surprised to see a comment there. It never worked for me before. So they, it was considered kind of controversial. And from what I read, Lydia wasn't real keen on the idea at first, but Nelly just kept pushing and pushing and pushing for this to happen. So eventually, Lydia and George did get married. And Nelly's prediction was Lydia would bear one child, and then shortly after she would die, just like
her.
Nelly had. And sure enough, so Lydia gets pregnant pretty much right away at age 15. She has a baby at 16, shortly after she dies. So even if everything else was fake, that's pretty hard to fake.
Yeah, are you going to fake your death? I mean, are you going to say you're going to die if she was part of it?
Right.
That to me did not make any sense. They accused her of somehow being a part of it. Even though my understanding was the spirit of Nelly got upset that everybody said it was Lydia, and she would have Lydia go upstairs out of the cellar where they packed people in to hear Nelly speak, and Lydia would be upstairs away so she could prove that it wasn't Lydia.
Right, because one of the theories was that Lydia was the one who started this because she wanted to marry George. So they say that Lydia and her sister Hannah, who was 20 at the time, put on this whole ruse and this whole show in order for Lydia to marry George. So again, that's sure, maybe that's all true, but again,
how'd they do it?
How did they do it? How did they, the fact that she ended up dying, that's pretty far. That's taking it a bit far for.
And then she showed up in different places in a field once. How do you
figure that? Right. So one of the other things that Nelly wanted was for her child to be reinterred with her. So they did do that. They did exhume the baby and rebury it with Nelly out on Butler's Point. And that was another one of the controversies, was they couldn't figure out why she showed up for the Blaisdells, but only went out to Butler Point once, which is where, her husband lived and his family and everything. But I think if she was trying to push Lydia and George together, then it would make sense to show up at Lydia's house. So one of the last kind of sightings of her was a funereal march on the night of overnight, August 13th to the 14th in 1800. So it says that the apparition followed a procession of nearly 50 people through the village to the house of a local disbeliever named James Miller. And it says that she spoke in his house, then appeared outside in a field before following the people back to the Blaisdell house. So that was kind of one of the last reported sightings of her. And it said that the march was over a mile long, where she marched with them out to this disbeliever's house and then back. And it was it was a funereal march. So there was already the aspect of death surrounding it. So there's just been a lot of kind of controversy. It is very odd.
I guess George, he did like a Viking funeral for Lydia, put her on a boat and
set her on fire.
And sent her out to the water.
Sent her on her merry way.
The father and him parted ways. They never spoke because that upset, of course, the father. But my thought was George didn't want Lydia coming back.
Yeah.
Because George ended up marrying a third woman who they had 4 children with. So
yeah,
he didn't want to be bothered, knocking for a month straight.
Right.
Yeah, you were trying to go to the bathroom.
Your ex-wife is here again.
Your dead wife.
Yeah.
Wives.
Right. Yeah. Your 15-year-old dead wife.
YouTube things, and there was some variations of the story. Some people said that she came back with one more message and was mad that he had remarried Lydia.
Yeah, I read that
too. Sense. Why would she come with these messages and then be mad that he
be mad about it? Right.
And then a lot of people thought it was demon.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of a thing everyone throws out about everything. So
yeah. And I think that's why the evangelic minister came, and he ended up writing a book about it. But now they're kind of thinking, okay, did he really have those experiences, or did he want more to support his agenda? Having people believe and making money off the book. So, I mean, even back then, So I never had heard of Nelly Butler before, and I want to give credit to Dapple. What is it? What did I tell you that podcast is? That's how I.
The Dollop.
The Dollop of sour cream. That's how I should. Mm-hmm. But the Dollop is a really cool podcast. If anybody's interested, you might want to go listen to them. I don't want to steal from them, so that's how I said something to Stephanie about maybe we should talk about this story since it's the supposedly first in the USA.
Yep.
They say America. I'm going to say USA.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I find it intriguing that they had 100 witnesses back in that day. I mean, that's almost the whole village.
Right. Yeah, on 30 different occasions.
And I guess when she started talking, she would talk for hours. Like she would do preaching and
keep going singing. And going.
And there was one, maybe it's that minister. He said that she started out like 2 feet tall and then grew. Yeah, which has me puzzled too. But gosh, as Mappa, why don't we get this stuff happening?
Right?
2 hours of someone talking to us. Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah. I think that the funniest part is, she has this prediction that Lydia is going to die, and then Lydia does die, and then Nelly just F's off for 63 days and isn't seen by anyone.
Yeah. And
then just reappears, and it's like, here I am.
Here, I haven't gone very far.
Yeah.
So why? This whole story leaves me with, what was the purpose?
Yeah.
And why didn't Lydia run the other way as fast as she could with the prediction that she was going to die?
Yeah.
That part baffles me. Like, okay, you saw a ghost, you talked to the ghost many times, everything the ghost said was true. you're going to still go through with it and get married.
Right.
Religion, I guess,
Yeah.
if it was God ordained, because she said that,
Nope.
Nelly said that whole thing about what God has put together. No, let no man tear apart. And what was some of the other? Oh, they also said on one of the videos that people accused George. I guess this one said there was a trial even, saying that he got rid of Nelly so he could marry Lydia.
Yeah.
But he was found not guilty, if that's even true, because there's so many variations of this story that I'm not sure which one.
I don't think
would
we
go
could
with
ever
your book
know.
more. Your book seems a little more like somebody at least fact checked it.
Yeah. And then the book I have is called The Nelly Butler Hauntings, Library of Early Maine Literature, book number 1. It's I got it on Amazon Kindle.
And then I saw a really interesting one of a guy that was at the site, and who knew you could still go to the site, since it was $17.99, wasn't it?
Yep.
To 80 something.
1800.
So he claims that he thinks he found the foundation of the cellar. There were stairs. I don't know. $17.99, wouldn't it be crumbled? I don't know. But and there could have been other houses built,
Sure.
continually. So, but that would be a really cool investigation. I mean,
it would. That would be amazing.
I think we still should talk to Nelly when we get a chance, or try to.
Yeah.
Why not?
Might as well.
I think she'd travel to Michigan. If she can pop into other people's houses, cellars. Sure. Why do you think? I mean, she said when they asked her about the cellar, she said she didn't want to scare children.
Right. So there was a story that she had scared one of the younger Blaisdell girls, and then after that, she didn't want to scare children. So she would, everyone would gather in the basement, and then Nelly would say, okay, everyone has to leave the room and come back in before I will show myself. Yeah. So that was another reason why people thought fishy. Maybe it was fraud. Yep.
And so was the blowing out of the candle.
Yes.
So to me, I mean, I guess what I'm saying is, what do you think?
It's hard to say. I mean,
go ahead.
I know that the power of the hive mind is strong, and it's easy to influence. And once you influence one person, and then the 2 of you influence another one, and then the 3 of you influence another one, it's really easy to kind of fall into that group mindset of this is happening. Right. And then if you're hoping for something to happen, you're going to have the opposite of the people who don't believe, where you're going to think everything is a ghost. Yeah. And so it's kind of hard to say one way or another what's true and what's not, especially since there's so many different versions of it. There was another theory that there was kind of like a mass hysteria type thing going on. There's a fungus that grows on wheat, and it's called ergot. And so there's something called ergot poisoning. I think I'm pronouncing it right. Ergot. And it can cause that kind of hallucination, that hysteria. So I've actually read theories that is what caused the Salem witch trials and the witch hunts, is that everyone had this ergot poisoning, this fungus poisoning, and that caused them to think that there were witches everywhere and demons, and they saw this and they saw that. So maybe that was part of it. Mm-hmm. Who knows,
Maybe there was some mold in that basement they were in.
Right. Yeah. Some magic mushrooms down there.
And then, anytime you're taken into a dark cellar, as we know, we get feelings like, especially if there's open air behind us, there's nothing right behind us, you get that feeling that things are there and things. And I guess a candle and some kind of light
Be eerie.
could represent that, but they did have a lot, unless somebody really knew how to throw their voice, because they said they could hear her voice in different parts of the room.
The book I read said that they thought Lydia was using a tube to kind of broadcast her voice out.
Oh.
But again, that wouldn't account for the different ways that people heard it, hearing it as a whisper or hearing it as a mumble or hearing it very loudly and clearly. If it was one person doing it in a tube standing in the corner, I think it would be pretty obvious. And then Nelly's sister was there one time and heard it, and she said, "That is my sister's voice."
And thought it was her on a deathbed.
Identified it. Yes. Yep.
So that's why they thought it might be demonic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's
and also Lydia, when she was sent away, she wasn't sitting upstairs by herself. There was other people there waiting for the show or whatever. So she was being watched. She wasn't like putting her mouth on a tube.
Right.
Yeah.
Yelling down the laundry chute.
Yeah. I'm still mesmerized or thought-provoked by why would this ghost come back, insist that they get married just for the woman to die,
and then get mad that they were married and then leave.
Yeah. What does that have to do with religion? Other than making people believers or...
Yeah, it doesn't seem to fit any kind of one mold or theory or anything. It's kind of an amalgamation of everything. There was definitely...
I guess religious people would say, well, God works in mysterious ways. But that's very mysterious because it doesn't seem like it adds to God's glory or...
Right.
If it was like, oh, you've got to marry because these two are going to go off and do great missionary type work or
spread the word. Yeah.
Yeah. No, none of that. And then the whole baby thing, I guess the baby was only 30 feet away from Nelly, but she wanted the baby right there, which I'm really shocked because I thought back in the day, if that kind of death happened, the baby would be buried right with
the mother. Yeah.
And why was Nelly put in an unmarked grave? Why was it unmarked?
I don't know if I've found a reason for that.
I know. It was almost like, on to the next.
Right. There's another one.
Another reason to march tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I swear this is when people knocking on your door. This is where it all started.
Yep. It all started with Nelly.
She was that's where the Jehovah's Witness, I'm sorry if I'm offending anybody, and Mormon knocking on the door thing. Good or bad, whatever way you see it. That's where it started. I'm sure of it.
Yep.
Can you imagine? Because I was trying to imagine what it would be like, because before she even spoke, I guess it was a month of knocking. Can you imagine a month of knocking? I mean, it would drive anybody crazy.
Yeah,
I don't know if it was constant knocking or just once in a while knocking. I think it was 3 knocks, wasn't it, every time?
Yeah, I think it was fairly consistent. Maybe not constant, but consistent.
And then I guess some of the videos say it was when the guy went downstairs and said, "What do you want?" before she spoke.
Right.
I would have done it way before a month.
First time.
What is it you want?
Yeah.
Stop.
You're not paying bills. Get out.
I'm trying to eat dinner. I'm trying to sleep.
Yeah, that would get old pretty quick.
Yeah. So I just thought it was on Friday the 13th. I really didn't think that because I didn't realize it was Friday the 13th till I had already put the show on. But never had heard, and here we are, a paranormal team, and had never heard about the very first ghost sighting before.
Right.
So she needs to have more attention, I guess.
Yeah.
And would you say she's a narcissistic ghost? Because
I kind of got that. Yeah.
she seemed to need a lot of attention.
Yeah, definitely.
And be mad when she didn't get it.
So I was just reading, it says, they heard the knocking, and then Abner and his daughter heard a woman's voice coming from the cellar saying, "I'm the dead wife. I'm the dead wife." And that's how they first heard her.
How would you like to be known as that?
The dead wife. Yep.
Not cool. Yeah. So I also, just like a little commercial to give us a break from Nelly for a minute, we will be doing Ghoul Talk every other month. Mm-hmm. Stephanie and I had a great meeting of minds texting to each other today.
Yep.
And what we'd like to do is do 1 month of Ghoul Talk, and then the next month of a cold case. We really got into Crystal Roberts
mm-hmm.
in Bardstown, Kentucky. That has not been solved. Stephanie likes to watch these murder shows.
Yep.
And I thought it would be a great fit. And not only that, could bring attention to some cases you may not know about. Even Stephanie said to me today, the first case we should do is the missing nun. Missing nun? There's a missing nun? I didn't know anything about it. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
So I don't know much about it. Daniel is the expert here about it. I learned about it from him. So let me see if I can pull something up again.
She didn't have one of his hats on. Where's she gonna flew away?
A little flying nun, yeah.
I'm sorry. Tasteless.
I used to do folk dancing, and our Dutch outfits had those wing hats.
Did you fly away ever?
I didn't, luckily. I had those wooden shoes to hold me down. All right. So the missing nun, her name was where is it? Sister Mary Janina.
And how long has she been gone?
Since 1906. No, she started in 1906 at the convent, or at the school.
What school? Here in Traverse or there in Traverse?
Leelanau County's Holy Rosary Parish.
Do you know if it's still in existence?
I don't think so. It says the building echoes its emptiness over the rural crossroads that make up Isidore.
And I don't want to get into it too much because we want to save it for the show.
Right.
Yeah. So let's leave it at that because we want to intrigue.
Sneak peek. Mm-hmm.
If we find her now, she's probably not going to be alive.
No. Well, I think, didn't they find her body? They just don't know who killed her, or they found bones or something. They found something to indicate that she was dead. Okay. But they couldn't confirm that it was her or what happened or who might have done it. So there's still a bit of mystery around that.
Right. So that's probably where we'll start with. A cold case that's very cold.
Yeah.
And we will come up with a name for the show. We just haven't yet. But I think it's a good idea. I think it's a good idea to keep variety of what we're talking about and doing and making some awareness for some cases that aren't getting the attention that maybe they need.
Yeah. And if any listeners have suggestions of stories that they might want us to cover, ghost or missing cases or cold cases or combination, anything that you think we would find interesting or it needs to be brought to light, definitely let us know and we can.
And that's for Ghoul Talk as well. If you have an interesting
anything,
subject you'd like us to talk about, we'd be more than happy. Deb will join us sometimes on Ghoul Talk. She'll probably, she did a missing women's, it wasn't just women, missing persons show years ago. So she's a good resource to have too. Sometimes the subjects are hard and not uplifting, but you still need the awareness. So So we are not fearful of that. We're going to go forward with that, and hopefully we'll be doing a lot more Voices of the Elders with the whole group. And of course, not that the men aren't invited to Ghoul Talk, but they'll definitely be invited in for the missing persons. Whoever wants to join us on StreamYard, they can jump on and do that. So yeah, cool. So back to Nelly. So I'm kind of wondering, I know we don't have a lot of people listening right now, at least I can't see them on Facebook, but if you have comments, we'll read the comments later. I can't see the Facebook comments.
I'm watching on Facebook, so.
Okay. But if you watch this at a later date, tell us what you think. Do you think this was a true haunting? Or do you think there was some mischief involved with this? It kind of reminds me of the whole Fox sisters. Probably talk about that because we talk about it a lot. The ones that are kind of the mediums and psychics grandmothers who first spoke with a spirit. And, some stories say that the sisters admitted later that they made it up. And some people say, no, that never happened. So it kind of, that mystery. Or the girls that saw the fairies. And over in England, they have a lot of stories about whether that was faked photography for that era or these girls really saw fairies. So it seems to always be that way. I can tell you from being on a paranormal team that no matter how much proof you have, people are going to say it's faked or photoshopped or whatever. It's getting almost harder and harder to be able to prove anything because there's so much technology out there that you could fake things.
Right. Well, and everybody's an expert and the smartest person in the world. So they all know all the answers of the universe. So it's, if they don't feel like it's something in their wheelhouse, then it must be wrong.
And let's be honest, some of it's jealousy.
Yeah.
Say we got a full-bodied apparition, whatever, on film speaking to us, somebody would say, no. You didn't. More than one somebody would say that. And I think our community's better than it used to be. I think we are para-unity more than we used to be. But you still have that competition and a little bit of jealousy. So, yeah, you kind of see it at some of the things we attend.
Right, very much, yeah.
And big heads. Also, the people that do have things or do have reasons, they got to watch their ego there a little bit. So, yeah. So it's funny because I don't know, narcissism has been a lot on my mind lately. and that's how I saw Nelly. I was like, oh my goodness, she just needed constant attention.
Yeah.
But then I think I saw God's work.
It said she was she was the second youngest of 9 kids. So that's probably why she wanted all the attention.
Yeah.
Probably didn't get much.
I didn't get any when I was living. I got to get it now, So I'm trying to remember if they said how, because I think she was 21 when she died. So she was a little bit older for the Butler guy. George. And
George.
I don't remember if they said how they met. Was it an arranged marriage, or did they say?
I didn't see anything on mine, on the book that I read. I'm just trying to skim through for a second and see.
And I want to say, what did they do? But they probably all were farmers, weren't they?
George did something on a ship, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he was a captain, Captain George Butler.
Oh, captain. Okay.
Yeah.
And the father of Lydia was not having it at first because Lydia was 15. And then some of the YouTube stations said that they actually started seeing each other when she was 13.
Oh my gosh.
Ugh.
Yeah, that's
cringeworthy for me.
Definitely.
Yes, 15's bad enough, but 13, oh man. No.
Yeah, 13 and he would have been 27.
Oh, Terry, it's okay that you're late. You can go back and watch the rest of it. We're talking about Nelly Butler, the first haunting of the United States of America, and been documented, I guess. I don't want to say it was the first, but it was the first documented. People actually seen and experience spirit. I'm trying to think if spiritualism was a thing then. It probably wasn't, was it?
What I read is this was considered kind of one of the first iterations of a seance. You know, standing in your dark cellar with a candle and trying to summon spirits could be considered an early seance.
Sounds like one of our pastimes.
Kind of grew from, just what we do on a Wednesday night.
Yeah. In a couple weeks, we're going to have a Mackin get together at my house.
Mm-hmm.
And who knows what might happen that night, but there's a lot of activity in the areas. No, Charlie, you didn't necessarily miss it. It's going to be on YouTube. You can go back and look at it. But thanks for coming in, Terry, Debbie, Charlene. Glad to have you here. But we're talking about Nelly Butler, first documented haunting in the United States of America in Maine, Franklin County. So, like I said, if you want to laugh too, the dollop, they're pretty funny too, by the way.
They are.
Where I was turned on to Nelly. And her real name was Eleanor, I believe.
Yep, Eleanor.
Nelly. And she had how many siblings, you said? She was second of 9?
Yeah, so she had 8 siblings. Wow.
Yeah.
She was 19 when she married George.
Yeah, so they were only married 2 years then because she died at 21.
Right.
Yeah. And I still go back to why. Why did she come back to insist that she marry Lydia, knowing Lydia was going to die at childbirth as well, and the baby would die? What was the purpose? I don't get it. And Lydia, run, Lydia, run.
Right. Yeah, there doesn't seem to be any kind of reason behind it.
Yeah, like how did that give any glory to God or
solve anything?
Yeah, it delayed him having the third wife, which he had 4 children with. And, we hear that he had 4 children. That doesn't mean there wasn't some death of other children they may, have lost as well. Because that was the 1799. Come on.
Yeah. It's high mortality rates for infants.
Yeah. So interesting that it all happened. And then when after Lydia died and they had the Viking funeral and Nelly never was back after that, my understanding.
Yeah, she kind of left in July of 1801.
Was that after the baby got
Or
put with her
1800.
so that she
Yeah.
was at peace, or did she come back after that even?
So it says that they, and once they buried her baby with her, then that kind of, for the most part, was the end of the sightings. And that one, it was in August of 1800. So this lasted for just a little bit over a year. I mean, you figure from the first sighting to the last sighting in about a year and a half, and look at what all happened. I mean, 100 sightings or
Right.
100 people, 30 different occasions, a marriage, a baby, a death, like all of that in a year and a half is extraordinary.
And where the spirit would talk for hours.
For hours,
I know people like that.
Yeah. Singing hallelujah for hours.
And I'm trying to think, is that the hallelujah we know now? Or is that because 1799, I guess it's the same.
Maybe, yeah, I'm not sure.
Song. And did she not have a repertoire of other songs?
Yeah.
Other religious songs? We
Play
have to do hallelujah again. Right?
Yeah. Can we please learn a different song?
This knocking and this hallelujah. I can't take it.
Yeah, I think I'd go crazy too.
Could we do Amazing Grace, please?
Anything.
In the garden, anything. Oh my. But I think it would be a really cool road trip investigation.
For sure. Yeah, I'd be up for it.
Because we could stop in Salem.
Mm-hmm.
And I found it very intriguing that this was before the witch trials. This was before the witch trials, right? Didn't the witch trials start in 18?
No, I don't think it was. I think it was after. Let me just double check. Because I thought the Salem witch trials were in the 1600s.
Oh. I may be way off base.
Yeah, 1692 to 1693.
So I'm surprised that these girls weren't burned at this. I thought you were following.
No, I was moving my leg.
Were burned at the stake.
Yeah.
No, they didn't really burn in this country. They hung. They didn't. That's a fallacy. Over in Europe, they burned you, which I can attest to, by the way. What's that smelling?
Yeah.
Do I smell meat burning?
I think I can attest to the hanging. I can't even wear necklaces anymore because as soon as something gets even anywhere near my neck, I feel like I'm choking.
Yeah, I don't like what are those things called? Turtlenecks?
Oh no, can't do it. Yeah.
No, but mine's about the burning.
Yeah.
So horrible. Yes, it was very horrible what they did to women. Come to the march tomorrow because they're trying to do it to us again.
Yep.
Tomorrow, Traverse City, 1 to 3, Parkway. Be there, be square. Yeah, I think I had a past life with it. And mine would have been in Europe because I was definitely burned. And yeah, you could accuse anybody. And more than likely, once you were accused, that was it.
Yeah.
That was it. And remember, they crushed people to death as well.
Yeah, they put the big stones on them.
Oh my gosh. What is wrong with people?
Horrible.
Just, is it fear? Is it power? Is it both?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of a lot of things.
And then we think about 16, whatever you just said, and we're in 2022 and we're still fighting to be equal.
Yeah.
I mean, what the heck?
We haven't made a lot of progress.
There was time we were stoned if they believed you were messing around or you spoke back to the man or whatever. Boy, we're going on a tyrant here. But anyway, there's a lot happening in this country right now. So a lot of going back in time. Before we know it, we'll be wearing them red smocks. No, I will not. Mm-hmm. And it's I think there was some men that were accused of witchcraft, but it was mostly women. Let's be honest. It was mostly women. So we got to stand up.
Yep.
We can't let this, for our girls, for our daughters, for our granddaughters, we can't let this be shoved back in time on us.
Yeah, can't go backwards.
No. So stand up, speak up, even if your voice shakes. Yeah. So, and I think probably Nelly, and not Nelly because she was dead, but Lydia and her sister or her cousins or whatever were probably very lucky because they could have been very easily pointed at and accused, and that could have gone really bad for them. So
for sure, yeah, that could have gone a totally different way.
Yeah.
But do you think maybe because Abner was the first one to bring it up and he was a male, so it was like, oh, well then he, this must be real because this guy's saying it is.
But if they would have found out those girls had done something, oh my Lord. I don't want to think about it.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Crazy, crazy. So yeah, we'd like to hear what you guys think. Hell no, we won't go. Yes, Terry, thank you.
Right.
Fact or fiction? What do you think? What do you think of the Nelly Butler story? If you guys came in late, you don't have to comment right now. Comment later after you've looked at the facts and the story about, there's no way for us to go back to 1799 and say this happened or that happened. Would I like to go there and try to have a conversation with Nelly? Heck yeah, that'd be awesome, wouldn't it?
It would, yeah.
So we'll try it from Michigan. We'll see if she'll travel.
Yeah.
She showed up other people's cellar. She could show up.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to tomorrow and tomorrow night. We're going to the march, and then we're going to do some fun investigation with Steph and Daniel and his team.
Yep.
I got to call him Dan now, don't I? So we don't have all this confusion.
I know. We've got a lot of Daniels.
Yeah. Yeah. So what else would you like to talk about while we have a few minutes, Miss Stephanie?
I don't know. We
can talk about where we're going to be going is it a few weeks now?
Yeah. Yeah. We're going to be at the end of the month over Memorial Day. We're going to be at the Indiana State Sanatorium, however you say it. I can never remember. It's a huge, massive building. We are able to have it from 5 p.m. to noon the next day, which is a massive amount of time.
That's a massive amount of time
to have. Yeah. So there's a lot of ground to cover.
Figure out what we want to cover, because can you imagine all that, going through all that?
Yeah, no, there's a lot to cover, and I mean, I know we won't be able to do everything, but I'm hoping we can get some good evidence out of it. It seems to be a pretty active place.
I'm excited. Sounds like
fun. Yep.
Yeah, and while they're here for our get together, who knows? We might go down to the bridge here in Everett. There's a lot of stories around the railroad bridge, and we've had some experiences at the park, and we have a Catholic cemetery that we go out and have a lot of compassion for, that has been not left to disarray, but not too many people volunteering to honor the dead. Mm-hmm. So our heart kind of goes to that. We have Sixton, Maine, where we did one of our TV investigations, which I think we still have possibilities of wanting to go back there sometime. And
yeah, I didn't get to go with you guys.
I know, bummer, but we can do it again. That's the cool thing. Yeah. So we got a lot coming up. And things pop up in the summer.
Always.
I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah, what's going to happen? You know, we've been on kind of a hiatus because COVID. We're not going to go into people's houses, expose
Right.
them, or have them expose us. COVID numbers are starting up again, so we may have to put the brakes on that for a while too. But there's plenty of things to do outside and in large areas where you don't
Yeah.
have to be right in front of people's faces. So that's cool. You just get really creative when these things happen. So, yeah, yeah. So, also, we want to mention all of our wonderful other YouTube stations. We have Daniel with my Haunted Diary.
Yep.
Make sure we're all of us are small YouTube channels, and we'd really like a thumbs up and a hit of subscription if you could do it for it. Did I say that right? Subscription, yeah. Subscription if you feel like you would like to do that and be notified if you want to ring the bell. Also, Daniel has my tiny, right?
Yeah, so it's on his regular page. It's just a different kind of line of shows. My Tiny Haunted Diary, which are the little 5-minute, quicker episodes. So he has the longer ones that are usually around 25-30 minutes. And then he has the shorter 5-minute Tiny Haunted Diaries just to kind of, you got a quick break and you can watch a little video and see what we're up to.
I just learned today that you have a YouTube channel I didn't know about.
Oh, I don't do anything on it. I just watch
that
stuff.
That was weird. Did you see that light change?
Looks darker.
Sorry. I'm sorry. Your YouTube channel. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I don't have any content or anything. I just use it to watch.
Well, maybe you will have.
Maybe.
Yeah.
You could turn it into a Ghoul Talk channel.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. So, yeah, so watch for things. I do want to apologize if you came on here to see Deb because, and we want to send out healing energy and prayers for her and her family. Their little dog, Nina, is, I hope she doesn't mind me saying this, is having a struggle today. And she needed to tend to the kids while RJ tended to the dog. So, healing thoughts and prayers for that situation. I know Nina's quite elderly. So we'll see what happens there. If people don't mind singing healing energy, my father of my children is struggling and wouldn't mind having some healing energy sent his way as well. His name is Tony. What else should we talk about?
I don't know. I don't think I have anything. My brain's kind of fried.
Yeah, it's a lot to ask. I mean, here it is, Friday. You work today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we never know what day we're going to have these shows on. If you didn't hear, we're going to do 1 month Ghoul Talk, next month a cold case.
Yeah, true crime type.
I'm sure Deb will be a part of that too because she has done missing person cases before. And any of the guys. And honestly, this is called Ghoul Talk, but we invite the guys if they want to come on and have something to say, as long as they understand they're the second-rate citizens on the show.
We're number one.
We are the Ghouls.
That's right.
Our show. So hopefully that'll go well. We're coming up with a name. We want to be respectful, especially for the cold cases where they're still family.
Yeah.
So we don't want to dead cold or anything like that.
Right.
Want some kind of
something respectable.
Yeah. The Nun, she probably doesn't care, the first show we're going to do, but that'll be interesting to do some research on that and see what
for sure
what we come up with. But my heart still is with Crystal Rogers in Bardstown, Kentucky. They had found bones. We were hopeful. Not that you're hopeful that that's her bones.
No, you're hopeful for answers either way.
Just like Susan Morphy that's going on right now, where the husband was accused and then it was dismissed, but they think the husband did it, but they haven't found her body. No. And that's going to be so hard for the daughters and the parents. Like somebody said, I hope she's found and I hope she has answers with her.
Yeah.
And that's what we would hope for anything that we would find for the missing persons. Because really, a lot of them are gone. It's more for the family to have
Yep,
closure.
definitely.
Yeah. And then Ghoul Talk, we're wide open, I would say, wouldn't you, on any subject?
Oh, yeah.
Our team has gotten more into real paranormal. Not everybody says paranormal and they think it's just ghost. Well, we're doing
everything.
Bigfoot, we're doing UFOs, we're doing fairies, we're doing
anything,
or spirits, whatever. So any suggestions there would be good too. Charlene, I saw you're in Houghton Lake. All right. Yeah, everybody's sending prayers to Deb and RJ, so that's good. And to Tony, I hope. And I guess that's all we have for tonight. Again, there's other YouTube videos about if you're really interested in Nelly Butler's story. I just thought it was really important because she's so unknown.
right?
I just can't believe I've never heard anybody in our paranormal conventions, other teams. I've never heard anybody talk about her.
I haven't at all.
I think it's nice that we're trying to breathe some life back into the historic story of Nelly Butler.
Yep.
All right. So
keep her name alive.
I'm sorry, what?
To keep her name alive.
Yeah. So with that, I guess we can say good night. And I would think we would shoot for a show. I'm going to say we might even do one as a team if everybody's up for it, even if it's just a short little half-hour show with the whole team when they're here on the 22nd.
Yeah, I think
22nd.
Yep.
And if not, maybe it'll just be the four of us if you guys are staying with us.
Yes.
Yeah. So that might be a cool one to do too. So we really appreciate everybody who's watched, and if you could like on YouTube and give us a thumbs up, that would be great. Also on Daniel's My Haunted Diary, he's been doing some amazing because you're part of that as well. Stephanie is. So you might want to check out his channel. He's had some really cool things. He also has posted things about our travels to Roswell and things like that. He's been him and Steph have been so great because I just do the footage and send it to them and say, here you go. So it's been cool having that connection.
Yeah.
So any last words, Steph, before we go?
No, just a thank you to everyone who joined us and commented. We appreciate it, and make sure to tell your friends and bring them in too. And, send us some suggestions. If you find a really cool story, whether it's paranormal or true crime or a combination of both, and send it in to us. You can comment on here, or you can message us on Facebook, whatever is easier for you. And let us know what you're interested in hearing about.
Right. And we do have an event coming up just for you that are interested in what Barry and I and now Stephanie does. And we will be at the Gypsy Goddess. Yeah, Gypsy Goddess Festival. And that's in Michigan. And it is June 4th and 5th. And I forget which county because we switched. But it's down by Saginaw. Isn't it?
Oh. Is it still in Allegan County?
Allegan. Thank you. Allegan.
Yeah.
So that you're interested in going to where there's psychics and mediums and all that, healing work. And we do a drum circle on one of the nights. So if you're interested in that, come on and see us. It'll be that whole weekend. And we believe Stephanie will be there. I almost forgot. Tell us about your products before we're off the air here.
Yeah, so I have a little business with my friend, and it's called Quirky, and we make handcrafted soaps and various other bath and body products, deodorant, body butters, 100% soy wax candles, pillow sprays with essential oils to help with sleeping. And we're always adding new things, always adding and adding and adding. And it's just a fun little side project that we're doing. And we like to bring kind of high quality products to people that may not, you can't always go to the store and buy a proper bar of soap. Because if you look at anything in the store, it doesn't say soap because it's not really soap. So I just like the idea of knowing what's in my stuff and knowing what's going on my skin and making it pretty.
And they also do a lot of charity work as well. They'll give to organizations part of their profit, and I just think they're wonderful ladies. So they can get your products online?
Yep. We just switched our website to a new server, so it's not 100% up and running yet, but it is Mayricky. Let me get it. I want to make sure I get all the words in there.
I was going to say spell it too, because I would, if it was me, I'd be like, well, how do you spell that?
So it's MayRicky4Souls.com, and Mayricky is Meraki. Mayricky for souls. And Mayricky is a Greek word that kind of means to put your heart and soul into the things that you are creating. And it kind of came together as a serendipitous thing because I was reading a book at the time and that word was in it and it really kind of stuck with me. And then that was also a word that had popped up for Erica right about the same time. So it kind of felt like fate that would be the name of our business.
That's awesome. Yeah. And we also, again, other YouTube channels are Voice of the Elders. Beth and Barry are starting a new StreamYard about our travels.
Mm-hmm.
And Mapid has its own Facebook page if you need to talk to us about any issues you might have in the paranormal or thoughts about where you might want us to go investigate Bigfoot or spirits or UFO. And the UFO Con is September 22nd.
Yeah, let me double check, but I think that's right.
And that's Deb and RJ's baby, but most of us participate in that.
Mm-hmm.
The world's largest ghost hunt happens at the same time. We haven't committed to that yet. We'll see how that goes down the road. We haven't committed to it yet, have we?
I can't even remember what I've committed to and not committed to.
I know I should be committed.
So the Michigan UFO Contact is September 23rd and 24th.
At the
Lakeside Resort and Conference Center in Houghton Lake.
In Houghton Lake, Michigan.
Yep.
And you can get a hold of Deb and RJ at their store at Mystical
Awakening Books and More. I don't think
it's Gifts and Books anymore. I think it's just Mystical Awakenings.
Yeah.
And that's right on the main drag there near Dollar General in Houghton Lake. So make sure you stop and see all their wonderful gift items and get a reading or whatever.
Yeah.
All right. I guess we've done all of our promotions for tonight, and we will maybe see you around the 22nd. We'll see. If not, we'll see you in a month.
All right.
Okay. With that, we will say good night. Blessings to you all. Thank you for joining, and we just feel honored that you took the time to be with us.
Thank you all. Night.